biggest crash since the 2020 stock market crash.
We see the dollar is under pressure
Bitcoin is gaining some momentum here.
because the stock market crashed. This is called crash.
What does this mean for investors right now?
The market now, it's so crazy right now. Like uncertainty.
If you are not, protecting your account, you might take a hit
People are a bit getting ahead of themselves. So just calm down.
in this environment. You have to be very, very, very selective.
Welcome to the Dxpert Podcast, where we will break down the biggest financial trends shaping the market. I'm Janu, and today we're joined by our two analysts, June and Asado. In this episode, we'll be diving into the global market chaos that followed President Trump's Liberation Day announcement, the latest developments in the US-China trade war, and the ongoing implications for companies like Apple. So let's jump right in. So, guys, we've seen markets plunge globally following President Trump's Liberation Day announcement, triggering the biggest crash since the 2020 stock market crash, which was part of a recession caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. But this time around, it seems like the chaos is driven more by politics than global health crisis. And the impact was almost immediate. With the Dow crashing 4,000 points in just 2 days, Japan's market hit the brakes, Canada took a hit, and volatility is off the charts. So, is this just the market having a short-term panic, or are we looking at something much more serious? And what does this mean for investors right now?
The market now, it's so crazy right now. Like uncertainty. I just saw a chart about the uncertainty index.
Weeks.
Not VIX, no, that volatility index.
Yeah.
This is uncertainty index.
Okay.
This time is higher than 2020, and 2020 was pandemic. Like, what the hell is going on? No one understood anything. But now it's even worse, uncertain wise. So yeah, too much uncertainty, and it's very negative based market. That means any news, negative or positive, can impact a lot or have a major impact on the stock market or any other asset class in this case. So for now, we have to go day by day, I guess, minute by minute, hour by hour, because, Trump can tweet any second. Maybe now he's tweeting and we don't know.
Yeah.
So, and can impact the market. So for day traders, I guess it's good because there's a lot of volatility, a lot of opportunities to take very short-term trades, and because a lot of big movements are happening, especially let's say on gold. On gold, we are seeing $100 days easily. So, but long-term investors, for now, they can buy maybe at a discount, but they have to know maybe the market will fall further, and so they have to take that under consideration and invest.
Whatever that Asado said is very true. If you are ever trading this market, always be very careful because, as you know, and if you ever trade Trump's first term before,
Yes.
wow,
I learned my lesson from those years.
And I also think that recently there's also a case where, when China hits back the US on the tariff, so that day, the market initially went down, and then suddenly Trump tweeted something. Okay, now it's on DJT's. Is on Social Truth.
Oh yeah.
It's no longer Twitter, so it's no longer a tweet, but then it's somewhat the same thing.
But there's an account on X that
that comes
copy
from
paste
exactly
what he's saying on social truth.
But anyway, it's all these sudden comments that moves the market. So if you are not protecting your account, you might take a hit. So always be very careful with this because there's a lot of uncertainty.
Like what he said, like 245% on Chinese tariffs. It's crazy that we don't know what's going to happen. No one knows actually what's going to happen. And we don't know if this is all a big game Trump is playing, or he's bluffing something. He's gambling with the global economy. We have no idea what's going on. So we go day by day.
And just based off this question, what would be one advice that you guys each can give to investors right now because of this situation, because there is so much volatility right now?
It depends on the investors, if they don't mind holding for a long term, because that's what an investor is, holding for long term. Then yeah, this is a good discount in the market. There's a discount, but don't go all in. If you have, let's say, $10,000, don't put in $10,000 right now. Put few $1,000. See feel the market, what's happening. If it goes lower, you can scoop more shares, lower prices for long term, because most probably long term we're gonna go back up. This is not it. People are saying this is it. This is the big reset, whatever. The big reset, we hear about it every time we go into recession, or we're about to go into recession. We hear a lot on social media, especially on Twitter. This is the big reset. Everything gonna go to zero. Gold to $10,000. Maybe, but not now. That's the idea. The big reset or the gold to 10,000. It's not this cycle. It's not in this cycle. People are a bit getting ahead of themselves. So just calm down. We can see maybe 4,000 if it goes parabolic, but that's it, I guess, on gold on this cycle. Yeah. We're gonna see a big pullback then later. Yeah.
But for me, I think it's a time where you need to be very selective on the assets that you are choosing. For instance, as Asado say, the very bullish guy on gold. Since forever.
Yeah. Well, since 2 years, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, he's right. Yeah, gold is moving up. When uncertainty hits, gold is gonna go up, and there's a very strong trend. I think everyone sees this. If you are looking at the stock market, there are some of it is performing better than others, but have to be very selective. So, for instance, when you have a war, and especially if it's something that is not physical, as in you are not killing people, this kind of war.
Yep.
That means it's a digital war, right? In other words, cybersecurity. So if you look at the charts, or even the companies that are performing better, when it comes to cybersecurity, it means technology companies. Most of them are not doing too good. But if you know some of the more popular cybersecurity companies like Palantir, is actually performing better than other tech companies. Yeah, if you notice, yeah.
You have to be very good in stock selection in this
in this environment. You have to be very, very, very selective.
Very. It's always a given to be a good stock selector, but in this environment you have to be even better than the average.
Yes. Because your risks are being multiplied by so much.
Yeah.
All right, I do want to go back to the tariffs. You mentioned about the 245% tariff.
Yeah.
This trade war between US and China has just escalated beyond our expectation. And I just want to do like a really short recap on how things have escalated. So after Trump returned to the office in January, he already reignited tensions by raising tariffs on Chinese goods in early February. China responded with its own counter measures, and over the few weeks after, the two countries just went through this like back and forth on tariffs. And by early April, the US has pushed tariffs on China to a massive 145%. China backfired with 125% and even suspended the export of critical minerals. And the next thing we know, we're waking up to US, putting a 245% tariff on China. So at this point, it feels less like a trade dispute. It feels like an economic war at this point. So I want to know, what's your take on how we got to this level of escalation so quickly? And what does this mean for global trade, supply chains, and just generally economic stability right now?
I think the market, if you look at the reaction on the day where 245%, I even got this wrong. There's so many numbers coming out.
Yep. I understand.
245%. Tariff. On that day, nothing much happened on the markets. On the time where the news came out, nothing much happened. When market opens, it fell down just slightly. I think about 200 plus points on the Nasdaq, which is not as large as we would have anticipated, because that's like 100% more than the previous tariff. in other words, it means that the market don't really care anymore.
It doesn't believe. It's as if it doesn't. It's not believing to
Yeah.
245%.
Yeah, exactly. And
For
and,
now.
And another thing is that even at 145, trades has already stopped. Like if you look at the news, Shenzhen, all the orders are cancelled.
Oh,
So even if you move up to 245, you move up to 400 or
it's pointless.
1,000,
The same.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
It
yeah, it
doesn't
doesn't
matter
matter anymore
Okay,
because the
yeah.
trade has stopped.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So if there's no trade that is going on, the number doesn't mean anything,
Makes sense.
right? Yeah. So if it's continued to go up, nah.
Yeah. Like Trump had this idea of before he got elected, so he knows what he's doing. It's not like
Yeah.
we're surprised. We are surprised maybe of the escalation between the two global superpowers and economically and everything else. So the main game is between them, China and US. The others are just like watching, more or less. It's about them, the focus is on them. Who's gonna bring the other down economically, and who's gonna win the race of either still being the world economy superpower or China. So this is the race.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna see who's gonna win or be smarter than the other, and how to maneuver and navigate these environments. Yeah.
But one thing is that ASEAN countries and China, they are forming new FTAs, and there's quite a lot of ASEAN countries are forming FTAs with European countries as well.
Oh.
So it looks like a lot of countries are not agreeing on this decoupling. So we will see what happens
Yep.
if the US is gonna get left out, and all the other countries forming new FTAs and move on. Yeah.
Although it's between US and China, this trade war, but we can't deny that it does affect a lot of other countries as well. Like, for example, how it has affected Apple, which has relied on China as the heart of its manufacturing operations. Based off Trump's administration claims, he's saying that this tariffs will push Apple to start building iPhones in the US. But it does seem like a long shot. It doesn't seem realistic. Moving production would take years. It would
Of
cost
course, not easy.
it would cost a lot of money. It would cost billions.
And the iPhone will be more expensive.
Potentially triple the price of
Yep.
an iPhone right now.
Yep.
So not exactly a move that they can just do
Yeah,
overnight.
they can't do that.
Yeah, so
That's why it doesn't make sense, this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why maybe it's some kind of a big theater.
yeah, but
So,
we
yeah.
can't deny that Apple stock has already taken a hit. You
Yeah,
know,
of
because
course.
of this. So how do you guys see this escalating, you know?
Yeah, again, a lot of uncertainty on Apple. So Trump previously applied tariff on everything, and then suddenly he took off, the tariff on
Electronics.
on electronics, and then suddenly his who was that, the Commerce Secretary,
Yeah, forgot-
Benson, right?
Yeah, I forgot the name. Yeah.
So he at an interview he talked about, he said that it's part of the semiconductor tariff, and then the market turns again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was it actually?
And then Trump
Right.
comes and says something opposite. Like
Yeah.
too many
Yeah.
misinformation or fake news, the way Trump likes to say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too brutal
Yeah.
for investors and traders right now.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
But nothing lasts forever. This phase will
It will end one day.
end and move on, and we
Yeah.
will likely see new highs on the stock market eventually. So it's normal, just the process.
But I think right now, because when we see 245% tariff, the market doesn't really react anymore. It could have meant that we have probably seen the worst of the market. Might be. Because even if it move higher, it doesn't mean anything anymore. So in the end, it will be, just the tariff finally reflecting on the companies. We will see how harsh it will be eventually, and that will be the next phase of the pointing the direction of the markets when the actual report comes out from individual companies.
Yep.
Yeah, which I think we need to wait a quarter or two to determine whether it really takes a hit. But then valuation has went down. So yeah, we will see again. Yeah.
All right, and it does seem like the US itself is being affected negatively. So my question is, why keep doing this if it's affecting you negatively, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. As I said, maybe there's a bigger thing we don't know about. There's a bigger play. This whole manipulation for bigger cause. Obviously, the US is getting affected. Like, look at the stock market. It's down like, it felt like 20% maybe around or more a bit. I don't know, the S&P. Now it's a bit recovering, trying to recover at least. But just today, like before we started the podcast, Trump tweeted again. This time he's targeting the Fed, Powell, Chairman Powell. And at the end he says that something like he should get fired. I can't wait, something like it's never. What does it? You know how he talks.
Trump is never
It's
in
funny
line.
the way he.
Trump is never in line with Jerome Powell.
Yeah. But
even
he-
on his first term.
Oh yeah, exactly. But like all of this, maybe it's not like he wants this, but he knows the
Yeah.
consequence that the stock market will fall if he does this, the tariffs. But at the same time, he's relying on the Fed to cut rates, because if they cut rates, the stock market will skyrocket. Maybe short-termish, if more negative news from tariffs, we receive more negative news. But that's what he wants. He just wants to pump the stock market as much as. That's why he tweets positive things, even if there's nothing. Even in his last term, if you remember, the trade war with China again, he would tweet like, "Okay, we just got a deal with China." A great deal, whatever. Oh, and China replies, "No, we haven't done anything. There's nothing here." It's just like, yeah, it's too complicated. And so don't believe anything you hear until, as you said, it's official from like the companies. We rely on the companies
Yeah.
more than the government. What it says, the
Because it will
administration.
reflect in the earnings report eventually. Whether it's good or bad is not from the tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why he's doing this? Because
He knows the power of the internet.
yeah, he has a point doing this. He wants a fair trade between all of the countries in the world with the United States, because right now it's unfair to them, objectively speaking. So yeah, I mean, maybe the way he's doing it, not everyone will like it, but he's just trying to do. He's gambling basically with the global economy, but he knows that the Fed will back him up if. Okay, I can't say that expression, but yeah, if things get worse, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but coming back to Apple, I think Apple is shifting their production to India. Although India has a tariff as well, it's part of diversifying, their production. And as we can see in their plans, still not going back to the US, but going to India.
Yeah.
Yeah. So initially they were in China, and then they went to Vietnam, and then now to India. And then India, as in the country, the government is also giving subsidies to the factories that manufacture all these parts. And we can make a comparison as to Biden's subsidies as in the CHIP Acts that we see during President Biden's era. It actually makes like the manufacturing factories, as in the construction of these manufacturing factories, is spike up very quickly as compared to when Trump was in office. Yes. So we can see that probably there will be a spike in India as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's something worth watching to
Yeah.
find out. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and during our chat earlier before the podcast, June, you brought up something really interesting about how robots could eventually start replacing more labor-intensive jobs as a long-term solution for the US. And that brings me to the question of how it would affect the US employment rate, because we're talking about robots possibly taking our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as we can see, a lot of factories around the world, and especially in the US, because they are very technological advanced, so the factories are getting more and more automated. In other words, if we look at Tesla, and Elon Musk is very close with the administration right now. But anyway, the factories are getting more automated. So I saw this report by Global X, by Mirai Assets. So they have timeline here on the adoption of humanoid robots. Moving on. So back then, there was this robot called the Next Gen Atlas. It was released in 2017. So it was the world's most dynamic humanoid robot back then. And then the next one, it was Tesla's Optimus, the first version. And then after that, there's this robot called the Digit, and it's the first multi-purpose humanoid robots for logistics. It came out in about 2023. And then the next phase, it was expected that Optimus version 2 is going to come out in 2026 or 2027. So it's not too long away. We are about 1.5 years to 2 years away.
It's getting closer.
Yeah. And in other words, if the factories that are moving back to the US, instead of using a real human to do the jobs, is actually the robots that probably gonna be doing the jobs. So by bringing jobs back, not quite sure whether it's for human or for robots. Right.
Okay. That makes me curious about how it would affect the US employment rate. How would it affect the people in the US? How would they earn a living?
The universal basic income, right?
So I was in our discussion previously, as you know, the US always wanted to have like a universal basic income for all their citizens,
because they know what's coming. It's not like they're stupid. They know like everything is going to be automated. Robots will take a lot of jobs, not all of the jobs, a lot of jobs.
I think it's probably something that is being discussed in the government, in the Congress or something.
Of course.
And it's not something that you could have done in a year or two, because it's a very long discussion and it's a very big spending by the government.
You need the money.
Exactly. So probably this topic came out because they are probably seeing something that might happen in the future. And right now we can see that robotics is getting more and more advanced. AI is getting more and more advanced. Cars can drive by themselves. Many years ago, actually not even many years ago, just a few years ago, it wasn't on the road even. But now it's probably everywhere, at least not in my country, but in the US and even in China. It's probably it's getting more all these automated cars.
I think China more than US even.
So Xpeng CEO just came out and said they are more advanced than the US right now, because there's more automated cars on the streets right now as compared to the US. But anyway, it's I think all these robotics are gonna catch up, and if robots are the one who is gonna do the work, that means productivity will still be there. Money is still gonna come in. And robots doesn't have to eat. They can work 24 hours a day. You just need to charge them, which is being charged by the sun right now. And it's still free. So all this money is gonna go and
why would you need cheap labor when you can have free labor?
Exactly. So it's gonna probably go into that universal basic income.
So speaking on the universal basic income, can you just break it down a little bit for the people that don't really understand what it actually is? How would it support the US people,
I think is do you remember the number? I think it's
I don't
about
remember the number.
$1,000 per. Let me do a quick check.
Something like that.
Right.
1,200 I think.
Yeah.
So it's basically the
government will give
will
salaries to the people who are not working, or their jobs are taken by AI or robots.
All right, so they will just every month be giving out this fund to.
It's $1,000 every month.
Exactly. Okay. Now they can maybe increase or decrease that
of course.
number. They can do whatever you want.
It's not a final thing because it's not being activated yet.
And Elon Musk mentioned something that when everything is automated, as you're saying, the cost of goods and services will drop.
Yes.
Now I don't know exactly the math or the logic, but it makes sense at the end at the same time, because like
It will turn into overproduction because robots they don't have to rest. Yeah.
They can take half a year off, All right, to wrap up, guys. So I know we talked about how the markets are kind of reacting to all of this, but can we go in a bit deeper, especially with the 90-day tariff pause? So can we talk about how we're seeing shifts in stocks, crypto, gold, and even currencies? Like if there's any currencies that stand out, or is it too early to tell right now?
I think the last one.
All right, it's too all right.
No, wait. It's the market, like they're waiting for something, the 90-day tariff. Yeah, okay. At first it was positive compared to the before the 90-day pause, but at the end of the day, it's still 90-day pause. It's not like the solution. So the market is like kind of paused right now, like the news.
The
It's
market
sentiment
is
driven,
also
There's no direction.
also has a
right
no
90-day
direction,
pause.
no direction. Yeah. We need to see a breakout, technically speaking, either above or below these last swing highs or lows that the market made. Outside of that, it's a waiting game, So, yeah, stocks wise, yeah, this is it. Currency wise, we see the dollar is under pressure. Maybe we can see a bounce soon because it dropped a lot, but I think it's gonna be short term and maybe continue downwards pressure. Gold, man. Do I need to speak about gold? I don't know.
Yes,
Do I?
please. Yes, please. We would love to hear something about gold.
No, nothing special.
Alright.
Like I said, 3,500 is very feasible. And if you notice how gold is trading, it's trading as if we are living in a hyperinflation economy, or if you look at let's say the dollar Turkish lira chart, the Turkish lira is hyperinflating kind of, and you can see how it's trading. Every day is going, like the dollar is going higher against the lira. So it's trading the same way. And if you look at the chart of the gold, and it's just going up and up. Yeah, of course it's gonna come back down. But right now it's trading every day, $50 up, $100 up, as if we are living in a really hyperinflation era. Like dollar is hyperinflating. No, it's not yet, but it's trading like that.
I
So
think it's proving itself as a safe haven asset.
Oh
because
yeah, for sure.
You can tell just how much
Everyone is
they're worried.
rushing
they
to
do
go.
not feel secure at
No.
all. Yeah.
The only time it went down is because of margin calls. Just to
Yeah,
cover
exactly.
margin calls, and then it continues
it's
to
liquidity.
go up.
It's liquidity. Yeah, they take liquidity,
Exactly.
continue go up.
Yeah.
So we might see something like this similar. But yeah, 3,500, maybe even 4,000 if it goes crazy and parabolic. I give it maybe.
If there's something even worse that comes out, then probably it's gonna go to 4,000.
Oh yeah,
fast.
something if
Yeah,
the situation gets worse. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Then just stay in touch with what is going
Oh, yeah.
on in the news,
Yeah.
what Trump is putting out there. Yeah, definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about crypto? Because I did hear something about Bitcoin where is affected.
For Bitcoin, I think we can see that there's a decoupling between it being a safe haven and a risk asset. Okay, so when the stock market dive, Bitcoin dive as
With
well,
it,
but
yeah.
just a tiny bit.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
the same scale.
Not the same as it would have as a risk asset. So we could probably see
It's not
that.
known. What is this?
Yeah,
Even the
it's
holders,
like-
they don't
it's
know.
like hanging
Is
in
this-
the middle.
Is this
Am
a
I-
safe haven or am I a risky asset?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
exactly.
Confused, a bit
Yeah,
confused.
so it's like stuck between gold
And risky stocks, assets,
So
yeah.
gold, Bitcoin, and then the stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
so it's
sure.
like hanging in the middle right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For sure, yes.
All right.
Yeah, but it's a good sign that Bitcoin is gaining some momentum here.
Yeah, it didn't crash. That's a
decoupling.
good thing
Yeah.
because the stock market crashed. This is
Exactly,
called crash. Like if you go 20% just one way down, that's a crash. you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Bitcoin didn't do that. So it's still holding.
All right, June, do you have anything to add on gold, currency, stocks?
be very careful on your trades. Yeah, because there's a lot of uncertainty. Go for something that has a very strong trend, and be very selective on the stocks that you are trading. Yeah, and try to go with something that will benefit from this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And as we've seen, markets are reacting in very unpredictable ways, and it's hard to say where this all will lead. I think, throughout this episode, I think that's the main thing that we got out of here today. It's definitely very volatile.
Wait and see.
right now.
It's wait and see game.
Yeah. So we will continue to keep an eye on these developments. But for now, it's clear that this trade war and its fallout is far from over. And that's all for today's episode. Big thanks to Asado and June for the insights. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure to subscribe and follow us for more market updates. Remember, stay informed, stay ahead, and we'll catch you next time.